exec, el Vélez, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? How we doing? Episode 75. Wow. 3 quarters. 75 cents. We're here. How we doing? Hell of a divisional weekend that we had. We went 4-0, so you know what I'm saying? We went 4-0. I gotta give us some props for that. You know what I'm saying? Second year in a row that we go 4-0 in the divisional round. We're gonna try to make this a yearly occurrence. It's not easy. I assure you, it is not. So anytime I do it, I feel pretty proud of myself. That means I know football. That's what it tells me. We'll get into the games, little things here and there. Welcome to the 75th episode of El Boricua y Parcero podcast. I am your host, El Belez, El Boricua. Today is going to be the divisional round of the NFL, of course. We have one coaching hire, which is Antonio Pierce. Finally, what we expected. Got hired for the Raiders job. Everybody wanted him to come back. Max Crosby, Devontae Adams. Everybody fell in love with him as soon as they started playing for him when he became the interim head coach earlier in the season. They like that he's a former player, kind of like MCDC. Knows how to talk to the players, knows what it takes to get ready for a game. So they finally made the right choice. Essentially, for their team and what they wanted, and looks like they're heading in the right direction. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback, though. O'Connell looks like he can get better, but, I don't know if in the draft they're going to look for somebody else, or maybe in free agency they try to go after a Tannehill. Very interesting. They could go after a Justin Fields, theoretically, now that, we talked about Cliff Kingsbury getting interviewed for the OC job at the Bears last week. So if that happens, then that they can theoretically throw their hat into that bag. But I think it's a great hire. I think that it'll keep going that culture that he was building there throughout the season, where they got hot and started playing really well after they blew out the Broncos. That they hit the 63 points. I think that it gives Aiden O'Connell a kind of basis if he is going to be the quarterback moving forward. I think it gives him a nice basis and a rapport with the coach that he's trusted. So it's not like awkward, having a new coach, don't know where you stand. So I think overall it's pretty good for him. As for other hires, not many hires at all. Actually, none. Bill Belichick has, to our knowledge, only talked to the Atlanta Falcons. He has another. He actually has no teams on his list right now. According to Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, he hasn't interviewed with anybody else. He hasn't talked to anybody else. So it seems like if it's not Atlanta right now, unless a team pops out of nowhere, it looks like either he's gonna, I wouldn't say retire, but, he might go into a different role, because if nobody wants you to coach at the highest level, I don't know what he wants to do. It could be possibly the age. He is 70. He's going to be 72. That's tough. Just like Nick Saban, he's 72. Pete Carroll, he's 73. And when you get up there in age, man, maybe a team just doesn't want to give you that commitment, even though you're the greatest of all time and considered the GOAT at your position. The situation's not right for him. They want him a guy that can establish a culture for many, many years to come. When you look at the landscape of the NFL right now, if you look at the really, really good coaches, there's only a few older guys in the elk. Guys that have been there plus 15 years. I mean, you look at Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin. Other than that, it's the young gun show running it right now. You look at D'Amico, what D'Amico did this year. MCDC's in his third year. McDaniels is in his second. So you're looking at, at a young boys league. You know, you could look at McVay, but McVay is probably still the youngest in the league unless somebody else gets hired and breaks that, and he'll still be like top three youngest in the league. So I believe that it's either that or, you know, he really wants to go to Atlanta. He feels like they have the talent there. I mean, I wouldn't disagree. They do have the talent. I just don't know what you're doing at the quarterback position. Are you dead set on going after Justin Fields? Are you looking to trade up in the draft? Are you already looking at somebody in the draft? I think that all these questions, if he gets hired, I think they will be starting to get answered as the combine happens. The Falcons also just came out actually right now. It just got tweeted. They just requested to interview Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. I mean, that's another young dude in his first year as a DC, already getting looked at as head coaches, same as Bobby Slowick for the Texans. You know, so it's very, very interesting, the landscape right now. It's a lot of young guns, and then Harbaugh is going to meet in person with the Chargers. So that might be a done deal maybe by the end of the week. And if it is, then they become a real threat, I believe, just because Harbaugh, and with a guy like Justin Herbert, the amount of structure, the professionalism that is brought into that type of, facility, not, an offensive-minded coach that's going to bring a seriousness and a championship pedigree into that building. I believe that they become a real threat in the AFC, not just the AFC West. Even though, as you can see, the Chiefs are still very much alive and not going anywhere. Moving on to the association a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of little trends here and there that kind of like show us that, how the picture's kind of taking shape. Boston lost to Denver in an absolute great game that, Jason Tatum missed the game-tying shot. And they won 102 to 100 over Boston. They break the 20-game streak of this year straight. They were 20-0 at home. They were 26-0 going back to last year at home. Boston was. Denver went in there, showed that they were the defending champs, and handed Jason Tatum one of these. And the reason I say that is because Jason Tatum did not play to his standard in that game. And that's what we've seen this. Anytime a real challenger steps up to the plate, it's either he gives us a great game, but they lose, or he gives us one of these, doesn't show up, gives you 19 points when you're supposed to be the leading scorer, averaging 30 or 28, and raise your level a little bit higher, and they live and die by the three. It's becoming a bad joke right now. It's becoming a bad joke because every time that you live and die by the three, all that could be in the back of your mind is Houston back in the playoffs against Golden State. It's just a bunch of scary hours. It's like, are we going to miss 17, 20 in a row, and we're still just going to keep chucking? Their Achilles heel is that. Their defense is good, but I believe that in a 7-game series against Denver, which most people after this game were hoping like that would be the final, and it's probably the most, by probability's sake, it's probably the highest probability final that we're going to get. 7 games of this, I still think Denver, gets the win because there's still no stopping the 1-2 punch of Jamal Murray and Jokic. The 2-man game is so seamless. It's absolutely perfect. There's no mistakes. You're going to have to hope that Jokic is off or that Jamal's off. And even if one of them is off, you have so many other options that can kill you. You have Aaron Gordon that can give you 20, 25 in a night if he gets hot or if he gets cutting to the basket a lot. If they get in transition, KCP, Reggie Jackson, you have Braun, Strother. You have a lot of problems that can be caused, and I just believe that Denver's just a better team right now overall continuity-wise than Boston. Milwaukee, 3.5 games back. I think they're just cruising, to be honest. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Dame just dropped 45 and 14. That's what we want. That's what we want. You know what I'm saying? That's why we were excited to see Dame and Giannis, because Giannis can drop 35 and a triple-double, and then Dame could give you 40, you know? And, you know, they seem unstoppable. But that was against, of course, the Detroit Pistons. So, you know, as in like, oh my God, it was a great performance. Yes, but it was against like a boo-boo team. So, you know, I can understand how people act like that. Still not using the pick and roll enough, and I'm gonna keep stressing it. If you're gonna want to win this championship within the window that you have with Giannis and Dame at the peak of their powers, you need to run the pick and roll. I don't care if I don't understand why it's just like, oh, here, your turn, my turn, your turn, they're not helping each other. I don't see it in highlights. It's over and over and over where they're popping the ball and everything, and it's a ball movement. But when you need points, if you're down 10, if you're up 10 and you want to just end the game, spam Giannis Dame pick and roll. There is no defense for it. Giannis will be the best roller in the league because nobody can stop him downhill, and Dame can shoot it from 30 feet. And you can set the screen wherever. You can set it at 30 feet. You can set it at 20 feet, 25 feet, right at the line. It doesn't matter, because either way, as soon as one of them doesn't have the ball, one of them's cutting. So I believe that they should spam that, and they will be a lot better offensively, even though they're really good. But I believe that they can be even more deadly offensively to offset the defensive side effects of having Dame instead of Drew that we've seen all year. If they just spam that action. Still haven't seen it. I don't know why we keep harping on it. We're almost 50 games into the season. I don't understand why they're not using it. Maybe they're trying to get tuned up for the postseason and use it and surprise everybody. But you need to run it in a game to get really, really efficient at it. Know where all the angles are. Every type of coverage that can come from it. Are they going to blitz the screen? Are they going to hedge? And how you maneuver through that. So I think that they should somehow, Adrian Griffin has to start spamming that action. Or it should just be on Giannis and Dame to just take prerogative and, you know, do it on their own. Regardless if they're practicing it on the practice floor or not. 76ers, they got Joel Embiid back. They're 4 back. This team is really scary. It just looks like a well-oiled machine, especially with a healthy Kelly Oubre. Tobias Harris has been playing really well. Tyrese Maxey has taken that leap. He's at 26 a game this year. He's really taken that, not that superstar leap because they have Joel Embiid, but that great Robin role where it's like, for example, another 2 teammates that can do the pick and roll. They do it though. You know, Joel sets screens, he rolls. If he gets on top of the free throw line, all Tyrese has to do is make his defender commit a little bit. They're sagging off a little bit on Joel, and even if they're not, he's gonna jab step him, and then take the 15-footer, and that shit's wet. Like, it's not he might miss and everything like that. Yes, I know the playoff woes of the past, but he's not playing with James Harden no more. Tyrese has been shown to, you know, play well in the playoffs, and I think that the efficiency that Joel is playing at is something, you know, frankly, probably never seen before for a guy at 7 feet at that size to have that type of skill. He's leading the MVP race right now. I have no real problem with it. Personally, you know, Jokic is doing amazing. So is SGA. But and Giannis is playing really well as well. So is Anthony Edwards. But when you look at the raw numbers, I think SGA, Jokic, and Giannis pose a better threat to Joel. But Joel looks like he might win 2 in a row, to kind of like, you know, cement himself as like, hey, I should have been MVP when Jokic was winning it, but now he wins 2 in a row. So it's kind of like he gets his validation from people saying last year, oh, it should have been Jokic's. He won the championship. So if he wins it this year and takes the 76ers past the second round, because we all know that's the question. It's like, well, you did so well in the regular season. Can you get past the second round? Can you get past the Milwaukee? Can you get past the Boston? Because that's what's going to take. That's what it's gonna take. If he wants the validation of like, oh, he's one of the best players in the world, and he is a problem every time in the season and in the postseason, he has to show it in the postseason that he can get to a conference finals. He can play really well, maybe elevate his play, which right now he's scoring 34 a game. If he in the playoffs elevates again, scores 36, and takes them really deep or even to the finals against Denver or Milwaukee or Minnesota or OKC or even the Clippers, whoever you believe that is going to the finals. And even if they win it, then he cements himself. If he takes them there, he buys himself another year to see if he can do it. But this year, to just get to the second round and get knocked out again and not play well, that would be an absolute death sentence to his legacy as he's building it right now. Cleveland has gotten hot. Donovan Mitchell has been playing out of his mind. They're 8-2 in their last 10. But this is going to come down to the playoffs. They still don't have no Evan Mobley. They still don't have no Darius Garland. And when in the playoffs, people can key in on what you do best, it's going to turn into the Utah team where it was just him and nothing else. So to me, it's kind of like a phantom 4 seed a little bit, because I don't think they have the scoring punch for the playoffs. They might have the defensive kind of ability, but at the same time, I just don't think that scoring punch is there without Darius Garland and without Evan Mobley having taken that offensive leap that everybody was expecting this year. New York is going to be a special team because they have everything you need, but at the same time, if you look at their roster, they're missing something. It kind of you just feel like they're missing something. And whether it's scoring, whether it's defensively, whether it's both, I don't know what they can do. Jalen Brunson is playing out of his mind. Okay, he is showing that he could be a number one. That he's a true number one. I think he should be in the All-Star game, possibly start for the East. Has them in the 5th seed, 7 games back, 8-2 in their last 10. OG Anunoby has been an absolute great add, absolutely great addition to this team. Defensively, offensively, he's showing more of a bag. He's showing more of versatility when he was at Toronto. Julius Randle's playing well. Josh Hart is hurt right now, but he was playing well. So is DiVincenzo. He's playing great. And Grimes and McBride, like they have the requisite amount of pieces. But when you think about the top 3, especially, like you think about guys with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Milwaukee with Dame, Giannis, Middleton, Philadelphia with the combination of Joel, Tyrese, and Kelly, or Joel, Tyrese, and Tobias. I think they could beat Cleveland again, which they did last year. But it's going to be very tough to see if their defense is not clicking on 100%, 150% lockdown against those teams, how they can offensively keep up with those juggernauts at the top. Miami 6. Jaime's still hurt with the groin. We're 5-5 in our last 10. I'm not really worried about it. This is how we were last year, except we were a lot worse. We're shooting great this year. We're one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the league. 6 is not bad to me. 6 is not bad to me. We get one home series. Actually, no, we would go to the Knicks right now. It would be the Knicks with the hometown. It would the 5-6 matchup. Honestly, I'm not bothered by it as of now. As of now, I'm not bothered by it. However, we need Jaime back because Jaime gives us that other dimension of scoring and defensive prowess that takes the pressure off of Jimmy a little bit. And I believe that we can win a lot more games more consistently if we had both of them on the floor. We haven't been able to see that a lot this year because Jimmy has rested a lot and Jaime just got hurt. So it was Jaime's show when Jimmy was hurt, and now Jaime's kind of hurt. So, I want to see that together, see what happens. Nikola Jovic is playing well, which is good for us. Duncan's playing well. Tyler's still doing his scoring outburst. Bam is still being the most versatile defender in the league. So 6 is okay for me. I'm not going to applaud it, because we should be better. But for the time being and the trade deadline coming up and everything like that, I don't know if we're going to do anything. Right now, haven't heard anything really about us doing any moves. So if we stay at 6, I'm okay. We're 2 games back of the Knicks right now, and 2.5 games back of Cleveland. Indiana with no Tyrese, they just got Pascal. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I need to see Pascal and Tyrese together. Pascal and Mathurin right now, they're doing okay. But I feel like they really got Pascal to pair up with Tyrese, and for Pascal to be, if you think about it, you put Mathurin at his natural position, was it the 2 guard? You put Tyrese at the 1 and Pascal at the 3. You have a lot of scoring and a dynamic of athleticism that they haven't really had. You could say Obi Toppin and everything like that. You could start Obi Toppin at the 4 if you want. I think you should go 2 bigs. I think you should go Jalen Smith and Miles Turner. I think that spaces out the floor for everybody to be able to operate and become really lethal. But on the defensive end is going to be where Pascal's really you got Pascal not for the offensive punch necessarily, but you got him for the defense. Okay, you need that guy to shore up your defense on the perimeter. Tyrese is in the perimeter defense. Benedict is he's growing into it, but he's still young. It's his second year. So I think that defensively, I think that's where Pascal is gonna thrive. But he has to lock in, because he probably is gonna take the best matchup. That means he's gonna take a Jimmy. He's gonna take a Jalen Brunson. He's gonna take a Donovan Mitchell. He won't take a Joel. That will be on Miles. He won't take a Giannis. That'll be on Miles. Maybe he takes Giannis. Maybe he takes a Giannis since he's long, and he'll take a Jason Tatum. But I think that they'll be better going down the stretch if the continuity between him and Tyrese is on point and exactly how they want it. They're 7 right now. They're 9 games back, just like Miami. So they're right in the bubble right there of the play-in and the actual playoffs. So it's gonna be a battle going forward. Orlando's 8. They kind of found their level without Franz. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're still in the play-in. They haven't fallen out of it. They did fall from 4 when they had Franz, but Franz being hurt really hurts them, because then you kind of key in a little bit on Paolo, and they don't have a release valve of scoring that is consistent. You can't give the ball to Markel and be like, yo, get me a bucket. You can't give the ball to Jalen Suggs and, yo, go give me a bucket. Like, you can't do that. You could do that to Paolo, but Paolo's the only guy you can do that to. Franz is the other dude that you can just give him the ball at top of the key, and he can drive and kick, or he can, make his shot in the middle, Euro step. He has a lot of creativity in his game at 6'9". So, Paolo being more keyed in on, he's scoring more. You're seeing the superstar ability where you drafted him number 1 overall last year and why he won the Rookie of the Year. But without Franz, his tag team partner, essentially, you're seeing the ceiling offensively of this team. They're still playing amazing defense, which is what's keeping them in games. But you need to be able to score, especially when you face the top of the Eastern Conference, and also when you're facing the top of the Western Conference that that can score, at will when they need to. So I think Orlando will be fine as long as they get Franz back in a relatively timely manner. I think that they can climb themselves back. They're 10 games back right now of number 1, but they can climb. I think they could get to 5 if they get Franz back and get hot again. I think they could get to 5. They're only 3 games back of the Knicks, and that'd be a good spot for them. But right now, they're still overachieving a little bit since Paolo's in his second year. People thought this was going to be one of the worst teams in the league again. Just another developmental year. They were at 4. They were really hot, but once they lose Franz, it kind of spiraled them out of control. They're kind of found their level now. Chicago's at 9. All those rumors about Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan, they kind of subsided. They kind of found this little balance with Zach LaVine, DeMar, and Kobe White with this new emergence that he's done. It's not really going to take them anywhere, so they might be spinning their wheels again this offseason. They might be like tricking themselves into fool's gold. But right now, I haven't heard anything through the grapevine about anybody getting traded from there so far, like we were hearing when Zach LaVine was hurt and everything, and they were relatively winning and everything. They're still in the play-in, 6-4 in their last 10, but as an organization, you have to know when you hear this sound right here. You gotta know the experiment has failed. Now, the bad thing for you guys is that I think you decided a year too late. If you were going to blow it up, you decided a year too late, because this draft, from what I've been hearing from experts, and draft analysts for the NBA, this is boo-boo, okay? This is a piece of shit draft, okay? There is no Zion. There is no Wemby, Paolo. There's no that one guy, and we're in the NCAA season right now, and unless somebody, shows up, in the NCAA tournament, it's going to be another French guy at number 1 that nobody's heard of. Because when I heard his name, nobody really heard of him. So he's not like Wemby. So it's going to be very tough. Who is really going to be that guy out of this class? Maybe the Combine says something. NCAA tournament says something. But right now, it is looking to everybody in the circles that this is not a star-studded draft class. There is no blue chip, this guy is the guy type of player in this draft class, which is sad, but it's something that happens in the NBA less than in the NFL. Not just because like in the NBA you have only 2 rounds and 5 positions, but at the same time I think that there is more emphasis on superstar players in the NFL. When you see a guy like Caleb Williams, they've been covering him for 3 years. If you see a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., the Jeans, and he was at Ohio State, and now you're seeing more of the international players getting more of the buzz than the actual players in the NCAA circuit. So it's going to be very interesting. Got to wait for March Madness to happen. But right now it's looking like this draft is boo-boo, okay? Boo-boo does not work, all right? So for Chicago to break it up now and try to rebuild, you got to look for young players around the league. Maybe you go to the Warriors. Hey, can I get a Kuminga? Can I get a Moody? Maybe you go. You try to play hardball with Atlanta. Even though I don't know where that would get you. DeJounte Murray or Trae Young. I don't see where that can get you. Maybe you go to the Spurs. Like, let me get Devin Vassell. It's tough. It's a tough thing. You could always go to Miami, of course, and ask for Tyler Hero and probably get denied. But, honestly, or you can go to Brooklyn and be like, let me get Cam Thomas and Mikal Bridges, and you offer them something. But right now, I think it's a bad time to decide like, we're blowing it up now, because there's no real plan in the immediate future to make you guys better. Brooklyn is 11. They're a fun team to watch, but they score, but then they can't stop nobody. They're 2-8. They beat the Lakers. I saw that game. It was nice. Cam Thomas went nuts. But then they lose, and they look like they have a good team, but they're all young, except Dorian Finney-Smith and some players, but they're all young. Jock Vaughn, I don't know if he's a good coach yet, and they don't have real future right now. They're not looking at anybody. Ben is not. I don't think Ben's coming back anytime soon. Supposedly he's practicing. What does that mean when it comes to Ben? Like, Ben, what? That's a bad joke at this point, dog. I'm practicing. I might come back. It's like, yeah, you did that for 3 years with the 76ers, dog. Come on. So I don't know where Brooklyn's going. Toronto, of course, with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, they're 11th. They're 12th. They're 3-7 in their last 10. It looks like they, once they lost Pascal and OG Anunoby, they've gone in the tank. They should play more Grady Dick. I've seen him on the floor more. You drafted him. He's a shooter. Let him get into a rhythm. Maybe you can ride him a little bit. Charlotte is a disappointment again. LaMelo came back. That doesn't matter. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Washington's a disappointment, but we knew that. They're 1-9. And Detroit, still Detroit. They're 1-9 in their last 10. As for the West, it's still a nail biter between 1, 2, 3, and 4. Minnesota still at the top, barely by a game over OKC and Denver. They're 6-4. So is OKC 6-4, and Denver's 7-3 in their last 10. The Clippers are 8-2 in their last 10. Okay, and these guys are separated by 2.5 games from 1 to 4, and the only ones that are 2.5 games back is the Clippers. That's it. Minnesota, they're looking really legit. Everybody's saying they're young because Anthony Edwards. Listen, man, the way Anthony Edwards plays in the postseason, the way I've seen him play the last 2 years, I think that he can get there. He's 22, so it would be very, very early for him to go for a chip right now. You're talking about Dwayne Wade. D-Wade did it at 23, his third year in the league, but that was after, being in college for 3 years. And then everybody else of the greats, 26, 25, 27, 28, like that's when the championship windows really open. But if I'm really thinking about it, this defense is so stifling. It's shown that it can hang with anybody, and it's just going to come down to the offensive end. Is Anthony Edwards on a 30-point night type of mood? Or not mood, but like is he hitting his shots? If he's hitting his three, you're in trouble. If he's hitting his three, you're in trouble. But can Cat hit his threes? Can Gobert be efficient like he is this year, leading the league in dunks? Can McDaniels up the scoring to give Anthony Edwards a little bit of a buffer, so he doesn't have to go for 35 every night on command, and maybe he can play himself into the game, still be very aggressive like he is, but not have the full weight and load of the offense on his shoulders. And Mike Conley, can he still be that complimentary veteran in his ear? Hey, calm down. We're good. Bring it up the court. Let's survey. Let's find the best shot. That's going to be their Achilles heel, I think, going forward, because the defense is absolutely stifling, and the offense can be really, really good, but it has variance of dropping off if Anthony Edwards is not at all 12 cylinders. The guy's a V12. So, if he's not being his Lamborghini self, it's kind of tough for them to find lanes to score. They really don't have that second dude, even though Cat's great and he's shown that he can take that burden, to try to rely upon that in the playoffs constantly, I think is a slippery slope and a double-edged sword that you would be walking into, essentially. OKC's right there, one game behind. With them, it's kind of just, is Chet going to play like this? Is Jalen Williams going to play like this in the playoffs? SGA, I have zero concerns about SGA's play in the playoffs. His game translates completely to the playoffs. It's not based on finesse. The guy is a scorer, flat out scorer. He can defend. It's all going to come down to those pieces around him. Chet's a rookie. Jalen's in his second year. What is, are you going to have to play more Isaiah Joe for 3-point shooting? How's Josh Giddey going to play? That's going to be very interesting to see with OKC. Very hot team, can score with the best of them, can blow you out if they wanted to. But it's going to come down to the fact is their youthfulness when it comes to those moments in the playoffs where it's possibility for those young players to get tight. Can they fight through that? That's OKC's biggest issue. Denver, zero issue. There is zero issue with Denver. They're third right now, a game back. You know what that means? They're first. Okay, that's what it means to me. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're chilling. Jokic is playing great. Jamal has his full legs back. The guy can score 30 any point, any game, any night. He's shooting good from three. He's slashing. Aaron Gordon's playing great defense as usual. KCP's hitting his three. Braun is playing great. The bench is playing really good. It's gonna come down to is OKC or Minnesota gonna have a little bit too much on them? And what I mean by that is that the free-flowing type of offense through Jokic that Denver plays, if any one of those two defenses of Minnesota and OKC find even a little daylight of stopping it, just a little, just tame it a little bit, they have the type of offenses when it's all going well to really do damage against this team. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I think Denver is ready to go. I think they're raring up for another playoff push to try to get 2 in a row. It hasn't been done since Kobe and the Lakers with Powell in 2009 and 2010. Actually, no, it hasn't been done since Miami and D Wade in 12 and 13, or even more, the Golden State Warriors. But if we're talking about just like a team that is not super duper stacked, a team that was built from the ground up, then you have to go back to the Lakers team. Again, I'm not concerned. I am only concerned by the bench as well. They're young. The bench is, rookies, you have Reggie, which is a veteran, DeAndre Jordan, need everybody to be healthy. Other than that, Denver's still Denver. 2.5 games back at the 4th spot. You have the Clippers. Probably the most dangerous team in the NBA as of right now. Why do I say that? They have 4 guys, and 3 of them can play really good defense. Kawhi can be stifling on a number 1 option while being a number 1 option himself and giving problems to a team. PG can stifle a number 1 option and also score 30 on the other end. You have Russell coming off the bench, but he can also be a very good defender and give you that punch on the other side as a point guard and as a slasher. And then you have James Harden. And James Harden can either pick you apart, giving you 15 assists in a game, or he can get hot from 3, hit 4 or 5, drive a little bit, get to the line, give you 25 with 12 assists, and next thing you know, you're getting blown out by 20, and then you don't know you don't know what's happening. And then Norman Powell off the bench. You got Terrence Mann coming off the bench as well. Zubac when he gets back, because I know Daniel Tice is playing right now. He's starting. When Zubac gets back, they're a very dangerous team. All they have to do is stay healthy. I'm not worried about them playing in the playoffs. I'm not worried about them getting playoff jitters. Maybe James Harden because of what we've seen. But when you look at Kawhi, champion, PG, besides the bubble time, PG's played pretty well in the playoffs over his career. Russell, he's played okay in the playoffs. But I think with Ty Lue, that changes everything. I think that Ty Lue will have this team clicking on all cylinders when it's playoff time. And that's the scariest team for a Denver, for a Minnesota, for a OKC. I believe that's the team that can match them offensively and match them defensively. So if there's a time for the Clippers, right before they get a new arena, to kind of stick it in the eye of the Lakers, it would be this year. It would be this year. New Orleans is 5.5 games back. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Listen, this is all going to be based on Zion. If Zion could be 25 plus, and I would love for him to get 5 rebounds a game, but that's clearly not happening. But if he can be 25 and 6 on good efficiency, and in the playoffs he takes it maybe to 28, close to 30, This is a team that can win it all and then shock us all. And they'd be like, oh, well, New Orleans came out of nowhere and won it? Like, yeah, because everything else is in place. Jordan Hawkins has proven that he's one of the best draft picks of this year's class. CJ's playing great. So is Brandon Ingram. You got Herb Jones. You got Trey Murphy. You got Alvarado. You know, you have pieces, Valanciunas. You have pieces that can get it done. All you need is for your main dude that you took number 1 overall and that you were hoping for him to be focused this year, healthy, in shape, to finally put it together. He's played really well this year. I think he could play better, but right now he's playing well. He's being aggressive. And I think that is another scary team that could give anybody a run for their money. They can blow you off the floor. If Zion is on timing and he's on a 30-point night, if you can't stop him, if you can't even limit him from getting to the rim, everybody else will kill you. Everybody else, because you're going to pack the paint, and then boom, CJ, 3. You got Brandon Ingram, boom, mid-range, 3. Herb Jones, finding out how to shoot the 3. Trey Murphy, dead-eye 3-point shooter. Valanciunas in the middle, or can hit you from the outside and stretch the floor. And then Jordan Hawkins can hit 8 threes on you, and next thing you know, he has 35, and you're like, whoa, what happened? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's another dangerous team. The team behind them, they're only half a game back. They're in 6th, is Kyrie and Luka. Now, we all know what Kyrie and Luka can do offensively. This is going to come down to the defense. If they can cover even a little bit, if Lively can cover a little bit of the rim, just to be a deterrent. You don't have to be all world. We're not looking for Wilt Chamberlain. We're not looking for, prime Hakeem, Mutombo, Gobert. No, or Dwight Howard, Shaq. No, we need a deterrent. We need somebody that when they see him in the paint, somebody's thinking, whoever has the ball is thinking like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go in there. Maybe I shouldn't try him. That's all you need. Just a little bit of deterrent, a little bit of hesitation by the offense, and then it'll be scary hours, because there is nobody. I don't think that there is a defense in this world that can stop a fully on-go Luka and Kyrie when they're on fire. And when it comes to the playoffs, these two dudes get on fire pretty quick, and they stay there a lot. We're talking about two guys that are used to scoring 30-plus in the playoffs. Kyrie's done it in the finals. In big moments with Cleveland. And Luka, we know what Luka is. Luka's the second PPG of all time behind Mike in the playoffs. So you know what he's going to bring. So if he and Tim Hardaway Jr., let's say Kyrie and Luka are going for 30-plus. You got that 30-plus combo. But what if Tim Hardaway Jr. is also going for 25? Now you have a problem. And that's when it could get really, really, really good for them. But it has to be all three of them at the same time going off for them to be able to sustain an offensive output that can offset the defensive liability possibly that Kyrie presents, Luka presents. You cannot, if you're bad at the perimeter and you're letting off a lot of threes, you better hope either they're missing or you're offsetting them on the other side by just an offensive overload. So that's Dallas's way of kind of winning. Phoenix is 7. They've climbed all the way up. They're tied with Dallas with six games back. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Guess what? It's worked. It's worked. Got to give them props. They said wait on it. Let all three of us play at the same time. And it's worked. It's worked. Beal, Booker, and Durant work. Now, what is the question in the playoffs? Can you sustain it? If one of them goes down, I think that's where it gets off kilter. Whichever one it is. Kevin's being the best right now. Even though Devin Booker dropped 52, I don't care about that. I know what Kevin's going to give me in the playoffs. Devin Booker has disappeared in the playoffs in the biggest moments. and Bradley Beal hasn't even sniffed the playoffs. So I need to see them three healthy, clicking on all cylinders, and KD didn't click on all cylinders the last two playoff appearances. So it's going to be interesting to see him. But if all three of them are clicking on all cylinders, then it offsets all the bad shit that they have in the bench and the rest of the team. Even though Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon are shooting the lights out right now, anybody else from that bench is not doing nothing. Okay, Metu's not doing nothing. Who else is that? Nurkic is not really, doing anything. Like, if you need a scoring punch when any one of those guys goes down, I don't think they have the requisite amount of resources to combat that. So that's going to be their Achilles heel. They can win it all if everybody's healthy and they're all clicking on all cylinders and, there's no problems on the offensive side of the ball. As soon as sputtering starts, they're going downhill because anybody else above them have a more consistent offensive output with everybody on the floor and off the bench, and has a more deeper defensive resource pool to try to stop the other two. Number 8, Sacramento. They've fallen off a bit. They're 4-6. It's gonna be tough in the West. It's going to be tough in the West. The top 3 seeds, it looks like they're locked up, whichever order they're going to be in, barring any serious injury to any key guys. It looks like it's going to be Minnesota, OKC, Denver, the Clippers. Unless New Orleans gets on an absolute tear and goes up there, or Dallas, or maybe Phoenix, that they're 6 games back of 1. I think that's the closest you can be. Sac is 6.5. It's not like they're an 8 seed, but they're super behind. It's not that. It's just the fact that the West is super, super stacked. Okay, we're talking about a stacked Western Conference and just bunched up. This still can change, although there's a little bit more separation now between 1 and 8 than there previously was. It's still only 6.5 games. Relatively speaking, I think that the farthest you can be is maybe 6 out to try to get into that top 3, because that makes you 5 out. But I look at New Orleans, they're at 5.5 out, being the ones that can maybe climb up there. Anybody else, I think 6 games in this Western Conference, I think it's just too much, unless you go on a 10-0, 13, 12 game winning streak and people start struggling and stuff like that. I just don't see it happening with how stacked this Western Conference is. Number 9 is the Lakers. It looks like they've kind of found out a way to mitigate the defensive lineups that Darvin Ham was putting out there. D'Lo, Austin Reeves, AD, LeBron, and Taurean Prince. That's what it looks like it's going to be for the rest of the year. Offensively, as a lineup, there's still problems. Off the bench, there's problems. There's problems when, AD's not going, when he's not on. There's problems when LeBron is not on. D'Lo has to be playing amazing. He did last night. Austin Reeves has to give you a consistent 20. When I mean consistent, is that the minimum that you're getting is 20 a night. I don't need 15. I don't need 17. You need 20 or more. There's no realm or possibility for this team to get anywhere close to the far into the playoffs if Austin Reeves is not giving them at least 20 a night. And that's with AD and LeBron being at the peak of their powers, scoring 25 plus each. So it's going to be tough for them. They've kind of mitigated a little bit, but I still think it's tough. They're 9 games out. They're 5-5 in their last 10, 7-3 in their last 10. Utah. This is a wonderful team. They got to 500. They're 22-22 right now, tied with the Lakers for that 9th seed. There's a separation, 6.5 to 9 from 8 to 9 and 10. But I think Utah is starting to figure out the rotation. I think Utah's starting to figure out the rotation. I think that they're going to keep Jordan Claxton in the mix as much as possible. but I'm going to keep repeating it. Gotta start Keontae George. Okay, this is the kid that is going to take you far with Laurie. I think that 1-2 punch, once they figure it out, it might just be that he's too young right now. And I get that. But at the same time, I think that him and Laurie can do real damage. And then just put JC at the 2, so you have a microwave shooter at the 2 guard, and then run it with Ochai and Kessler. And I think you could run good there. But Utah's 10, they're playing well. Really good offense. Got to figure it out on the defensive end. Houston, they've fallen out of the play-in. 10 games back, so 1 game back. 3-7 in their last 10. They have lost the ability to score. Okay? They have lost the ability to score. They're scoring 112.5 and they're letting up 112.1. Yeah. That's not going to cut it in the Western Conference. I'm sorry. I like how Cam Whitmore's playing. He's still coming off the bench. I respect it, okay? I respect it. If you want to start Jalen Green for the rest of the year, okay, fine. Do that. Now, next year, when you see that Cam Whitmore is being a beast in practice and the offseason, I think that should change. Because Cam Whitmore, I believe, gives you a little bit more defensive versatility and a level of power on the offensive side of the ball that Jalen Green just doesn't have. Jalen Green has the speed and the finesse game, but Cam Whitmore can hit you from 3. He could hit you from 2. He could drive. He could yam it on people, and he's just more powerful, more solidly built. I think he just flows more with the offense. I think the key for them in the next few years is going to be the development of Amen Thompson. If he can develop into a solid scorer, when I mean solid is like based on where he was picked, I would want him to be scoring more than 20. But, right now the shot's not really there. He's more of a slasher and a passer. But the defensive side is what you really, really like from him. But Houston's, it's going to be tough for them to they can make it into the play-in, but it's going to be tough for them to really make some noise because they don't have that guy. Alfred Sengun is a really, really good player, but you need that guy. He hasn't developed and built himself into that dude yet. You know what I'm saying? Golden State. Yeah, still over. All right. This shit has not changed. It's still over. I don't see anything changing. I haven't heard about any big trades. Yeah, it's just sad, when the dynasty ends, and like I said, it started to crumble just as fast as it started to become a dynasty. It didn't take long. Whether it's age, whether it's like the message has gotten stale, whether they feel like they're just too big a hole. I mean, they're only 2 games back of the 10th seed of being in the play-in. But right now, you're 3-7 in your last 10, and you've lost 2 in a row. It's not like there's any silver lining here that we're looking at. Kuminga, if he can turn into that guy that you took at the 3rd pick, then maybe there's a line of hope in the future. But right now, it's looking like there's going to be some pieces moved around. Memphis, they're done. John Morant's done. Desmond Bane is hurt. Triple J is kind of by himself. Gigi Jackson, give him more opportunity. I think this kid can be, he was top in his class when he came out of high school. Couple things happened here and there in college, but I think that this kid, you can develop around him, and maybe you can find yourself a 3rd piece there or a 4th piece along John Morant, Desmond Bane, and Triple J. So I think you should give him the ball more. Portland, they're 3-7 in their last 10. Yeah, just keep playing Scoot, keep playing Anthony, keep playing Shaden, and at the end of the year, either keep them all 3 together or decide what to do if you want to move one of them for a bigger piece. Supposedly Jeremy Grant is in talks. I'm not sure. But they're not going nowhere. They're 18 games back. San Antonio's 22 games back. I like what they're using. I like what they're doing with Wemby now. Trey Jones is starting. Wemby's starting to show that he is that superstar caliber player. We've seen 24 5-block games. We've seen 24 and 12 rebounds. I like what we're seeing from them. They just don't have enough to win against most people. They put up a fight, but at the end of the fourth quarter, it looks like either they run out of gas or they just don't know how to win. And Wemby's trying his ass off, but it's just not going anywhere. But he's playing well for the kid. He's trying to cement that Rookie of the Year. Chet right now is on the second seed in the West, and he's playing absolutely really well for a rookie. So I don't know if it's gonna be Wemby. Right now it's Chet on all the leaderboards, but it's gonna be interesting for the Rookie of the Year. So that's NBA. Let's go to what we came for, baby. All right, divisional weekend. We went 4-0. Shout out to us. It was not without its scary moments, okay? In multiple games, okay? Actually, in all of them. Every single game had tense moments. Let's start with Packers 49ers, okay? Let's start with Texans Baltimore. So the Baltimore Ravens beat the Texans 34-10. Guys, halftime was 10-10, okay? It looked like the rest versus rust thing was really looking like it was an actual thing for Lamar and the offense. The defense was playing out of their mind. I have not seen a defense play this well since the old Ravens defense with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. Like, this defense does not allow you to run, is a great coverage defense, and they force you 3 and outs a lot. The coverage is sticky. And Raekwon Smith and Patrick Queen are absolute dogs at the linebacker position. They're gonna be a handful for anybody moving forward, and it could only be 2 more opponents. So 3 technically, but it's gonna be only 2 more opponents for them in order to try to get the Lombardi. Starting with this game was very back and forth when you think about the only score was a return by the Texans. So the offense didn't even score. Okay? The Texans offense didn't even score. For as much as we raved about it and it was everything, I think that the missing of Tank Dell and Noah Brown really hurt them. And the other thing that hurt them, they cannot run the ball. Okay, it's kind of like the Bills' problem where they couldn't run the ball early in the last 3 years. They could not run the ball, and this team against this Baltimore defense could not run the ball. Okay, but if we get into this game, especially the box score, something interesting that popped out. CJ went 19 for 33, 175, so he didn't even get to 200. That's how much they stopped him. Devin Singletary went 9 carries for 22 yards. They ran the ball 14 times. They gave up on that shit super quick. They were like, we can't run the ball. We're not getting even a yard. Like, we're talking about 2.4 yards a carry. It didn't even look like that. It looked like 0 yards a carry. Okay? Nico went 5 for 68, kept the cap on him. And then Devin Singletary, Dalton Schultz, they went for 48, 43. No touchdowns for nobody. The only person that scored the touchdown, like I said, was the kick return. It was Steven Sims. 67-yard punt return in the first half, and that was the only score besides the field goal. They didn't score after that. Halftime came, it was 10-10. Okay? Halftime came, it was 10-10. And then Baltimore rattled off 24 straight. Behind who? Behind the MVP of this season, Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar's playing absolutely incredible. Once he knocked off the rust, he made one mistake, not really a mistake, but instead of knowing his receiver, he tried to fit it into a window. It fell incomplete, but Isaiah Likely, his tight end, immediately told him, yo, next time throw it up. And he immediately looked at him, tapped his head, and said, okay. What happened next? In the second half, same type of play, rolling out to his right. He's looking like he's going to run. He has the ball in his hand, and he pulls up to pass, and boom, Isaiah Likely, beautiful touch pass over the defense, touchdown. That is called growth, ladies and gentlemen. That's something we didn't see the last 2-3 years from him. This is a different type of offense. This offense is absolutely clicking. Absolutely clicking. He's playing at an MVP level. He's looking to pass, not run. He's only running what he has to. And he's not taking big shots. That's what Lamar has always done. He's never taken the big shot. He's never taken the big lick. Always makes people miss. He's very slippery. When it comes into the red zone, you must account for him. The guy took 2 to the cribbo, okay? The guy took 2 to the cribbo. You can't catch him. He's fast. And his throwing touch is looking really good. Now, we're going to talk about his opponent in the AFC Championship later. But right now, this team is the best left. Yes, including San Francisco, because we're going to talk about them next. This team is the best left. Defense, offense, special teams, coaching. I believe that maybe the coaching you can kind of throw it up there with Andy Reid. But other than that, everything else, this team has it. They have the requisite amount of weapons. They can run the ball. Justice Hill ran the ball pretty well. Lamar had 100 on the ground. He was actually the leading rusher for their team. He was 9.1 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns along of 23. He went 16 for 22, so he went efficient, 152. But when you rush for 100, 152, 252 all-purpose, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a passer rating of 121.8. I mean, you don't want if you don't need to be Superman and you could just be yourself within the offense. You might seem like Superman because it's Lamar, but he's just playing the game. It's having fun. Zay Flowers was the leading receiver. He had 41, along of 17 on 5 targets. Like, nobody got targeted more than 5 times. It was only Zay. Everybody else got targeted 3 or 4 times. Rashad Bateman had 39 yards. Isaiah Likely 34 with the touchdown. Nelson Aguilar on a little over route into the flat, caught the touchdown in the first half. They didn't need much everything. Why? Because this defense is absolutely incredible. This defense is scary. Okay? Roquan Smith has taken what he did in college and he's brought it to the NFL. Patrick Queen has taken what he did in college and bring it to the NFL. And that was, what does that? Beat dogs. Be absolute leaders. Mike McDonald is a big head coaching candidate. They're DC. In his first year, and he has this boys buzzing. He has these boys absolutely buzzing. Justice Hill had 66 yards. Gus Edwards had 40. Talking about 11 carries for Lamar, 13 carries for Justice. Gus Edwards had 10. Dalvin Cook had 8, had a long of 19. He had 23 total, so imagine 8 carries, 23 total, and a long of 19. That means everything else was pretty boo-boo, but that's okay. That's okay. We just needed to get his legs warm. That's it. But like we said, the defense was too much, and they could not stop Lamar. Now, this for the Texans does not mean the end of the world. They didn't have Tank Dell. They didn't have Noah Brown. They look like they can draft really well, so I expect them to do the same this upcoming draft. CJ's going to be better. The offensive line will be better. They'll have I think that they should go pass rusher and look for a really good pass for another compliment to Will Anderson on the other side in this draft or in the offseason. But they have a really, really bright future. D'Amico is clearly the coach of the future for them. I don't see them getting off of him anytime soon. I expect another extension after these next 2 years, another extension for him. So and Bobby Slowick might be a coach next year. And he was also a first-time OC. So a lot of young guys, getting looks already off of 1 year of production. I don't know if that's smart, but at the same time, the way these guys are running offenses and defenses, it might be smart to get them young, let them develop in their own team, and then, you develop a monster throughout the seasons, even though nobody's going to be a D'Amico. That's very rare to happen right off the bat. So shout out to Baltimore. 34-10, looked dominant, especially in the second half. Didn't allow no points. And overall, looked like the best team on the field of these four teams left. And this defense is gonna ride on this defense. That's how they've won the last their only two Super Bowls. They wrote it on the back of two Hall of Famers. And not just Hall of Famers, two all-time greats at their position, in Ed Reed and Ray Lewis. And it's looking like Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are those type of dudes, man. I mean, not at the level of Ray, but their the way that they play ball and the way this whole team hits. This team hits hard. They're relentless, and they're stifling. So it's shout out to Baltimore, and looking forward to seeing Lamar in an AFC championship at home. Shout out to the Texans for making it this far. Nobody thought that you would make it this far. Okay, hold your head up, move forward, and you have a very bright future ahead. You have found the next one in CJ Stroud. Next game, Packers 49ers. Now, this is where we get 24-21. If I told you that the 49ers looked like they were going to lose this game for 58 minutes, I'm not lying. And I was very nervous with my pick because it looked like it was raining, sloppy game, couldn't grip the football. The running game for the Packers was absolutely incredible with Aaron Jones. The Packers just found a way to just hit those third downs to Romeo Doubs and stuff and Tucker Kraft. It looked like the Packers were going to win. And then they have a rookie kicker. And that was the difference. The rookie kicker. You know what also was the difference? Brock Purdy woke up. Now, we can say, I know people have said he's a system quarterback and Debo got hurt, and you saw what happened when Debo got hurt. It's yes, Debo's hurt. We don't know his status for the NFC Championship game. It's the same shoulder that he had the hairline fracture in. It's going to be scary, but Trent Williams is still there. So is Brandon Ayuk. So is George Kittle. So is CMC, which we saw is an absolute beast, of the likes that, we haven't seen very often. He is a legendary player. He will go down in the Hall of Fame as one of the best backs of all time. And when we look at this box score tells a very, very interesting tale. One thing I took about these playoff games, nobody was really throwing the shit out of the ball. We didn't have no 400-yard passers. We didn't have no 45 throws, 45 attempts games. It has been very ground oriented, short passes, more after the catch. And that's just how it is playoff football, especially in the rain. So it was raining. Jordan Love, 21 for 34, 194. Okay, and 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Now, the first pick nobody talks about. The second pick is the big one, because the second pick came in the drive, in the last drive of the game, for him to try to go either win the game or tie the game with a field goal. And like I said, the Packers played absolutely amazing, winning football on the road for 58 minutes. When Anders Carlson missed the field goal, it flipped the momentum. Okay? Because Purdy got the ball back and led a game-winning drive where he put it all together. Third down, a great pass to Ayuk. Debo went down earlier in the game, so he had to throw it to Conley. He hadn't played in I think he had 3 catches all year. Got a first down there, and then gave it to CMC. Had a run to make it 2nd and 2. at the goal line from like the 3 or 4, and then CMC took it home. You know, they ran off the back of CMC in this game. That's the one who kept them in this game. Now, you know, Jordan Love 194, so not a lot. Aaron Jones 4 straight games of 100 yards rushing, 18 carries, 108, 6 yards a carry. Shout out to Aaron Jones. I said it at the beginning of the season, and I'll keep saying it. He is the best player on their team. Now you can say it's Jordan Love, and that's fair. But to me, their more explosive player, the guy that can change games, is Aaron Jones, and you saw it. You know, he had big run after big run, 8 yards, 9 yards, 12 yards. Like, they just could not stop him. San Francisco was getting gashed in the running game, and it was looking like that was going to be the tail of the tape, the tail of the story. But Romeo Doubs had 4 for 83 on 6 targets. Jaden Reed had 4 for 35 on 4 targets. Bo Melton had the touchdown. That was pretty wide open. Luke Musgrave had 3 for 14. Tucker Kraft had the touchdown. But what happened was that they could not put the ball in the end zone. It was a lot of field goals. And when it comes to the playoffs, red zone efficiency is what leads to wins. If you're not efficient in the red zone and you're taking 3 more than 7, most of the time you're going to lose that game if the other team is as good as San Francisco and can find the end zone. And that's what happened. The missed field goal did add to it, of course. But it was a 4-point game. You kick. It was a 4-point game. You kick the field goal to go up 7, but you miss it. So now you're still up 4. You got to defend against Brock Purdy in the rain to try to go to the NFC Championship, and you couldn't do it. Brock Purdy found a way. Okay, Kyle Shanahan found a way. Now we look at Brock Purdy's numbers: 23 for 39, 252. You know, nothing spectacular. CMC didn't get 100 on the ground. He says 17 carries for 98 yards, so 100 basically. 2 touchdowns, along a 39, which was amazing. Breaking tackles, cut here. I mean, CMC type things. They ran the ball for 111 yards. It's not like they ran the ball for a lot. Kittle went 4 for 81 and a touchdown. Jawan Jennings went 5 for 61 and some big plays on third down and when they needed it. Brandon Ayuk went 3 for 32. I don't know that when Debo goes down, I don't know why Ayuk doesn't become the next best thing. We're talking about a 1,300-yard receiver. So I don't understand how that distinction or transition is not more smoother than what they made it out to be. They made it a lot more difficult than it had to be. If Debo goes down, I immediately go to BA. I don't see why that transition is still being discussed in a way where I was like, oh my God, Debo's such a great player. It's like, I get it, but you still have Brandon Ayuk. So if you want to target monster somebody, BA is right there. You get what I'm saying? Christian McCaffrey, 7 for 30 on 12 targets, which is insane for him. He led the team in targets by over 5. Debo went 2 for 24 but got hurt. Chris Conley went 1 for 17, but that one was really big. Really big. And the defense showed a little kink in the armor. It showed a little crack with that running game. And some of those passing plays, those are plays that usually this San Francisco defense does not allow. Now you can chalk it up to, Green Bay having great receivers and Jordan Love just throwing dimes. But considering that it's going to be a good day in Santa Clara this upcoming Sunday or Saturday, whenever they play it, I believe they play it on the same day, so it might be Sunday. I think that this offense will click more. However, if Debo's not playing, that I believe that they should focus more on Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. But I don't think the conditions will be as bad as it was this game. It was pouring this game. Like there was plays that Brock is like wiping his hand in the middle of right after getting the snap to try to get some grip on the ball. Some of the balls got away from him. He almost threw a pick six in the first half to Darnell Savage. He dropped it. But overall, San Francisco, the reason I say Baltimore's the best team left is because San Francisco has shown me kinks in the armor. And one thing about San Francisco that, people are mentioning but not really talking about, and it's happened over the last few years, for some reason, Kyle Shanahan, when it gets into the end of the game in the playoffs, in a close game, some of his play calling mastery goes out the window, and they're very questionable calls, time management, and I just don't understand it. Sometimes he lets the clock run too long, doesn't take his timeouts. Sometimes he takes his timeouts too early. It didn't bite him in the ass this game, but, it can bite you in the ass in the future because it has bitten him in the ass before. So just something to think about. Kyle's a great coach, one of the best coaches in the league, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but you cannot have blunders and brain farts in the when it's this time. You can't your brain can't go like this when the game's on the line and it's win or go home. You just got to be on your P's and Q's. Overall, like I said, 58 minutes of the Packers winning. 2 minutes. This is why it's a 60-minute game. 2 minutes. That's all it took the 49ers to get to squeeze out this win. This was won on the back of CMC. And there is no other question to me about it. This was won on the back of CMC. Dre Greenlaw had 2 picks, including the last one. Now, go down. Okay? Go down. I know that you wanted a pick 6, but you do not want to end the game and then give them life by fumbling in the rain. You just go down. Go down. Especially at the time that it was and the situation in the game that it was. Go down. 49ers have a very interesting way of playing playoff football. Without Debo, it's going to be interesting what Kyle Shanahan does. I imagine that he's going to prepare all week as if he doesn't have Debo. And if he does have Debo, it will be a luxury. The defense must be prepared. Because we're going to talk about the Lions. And it might be the hottest team right now, barring Kansas City. But shout out to San Francisco. They fought for 60 minutes, not 58. Now, for Green Bay, LaFleur's a great coach. I don't know how Jordan. I just don't know how this organization, through the change in general managers and the years and eras, have found 3 guys at the position that is most important in the league, where other people hasn't found a guy in their whole franchise history. I'm looking at you, Chicago. Quarterback position: Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Back to back to back. 2 of those guys give you almost 20 years of greatness. 2 of the GOATs. And Jordan Love, with this year and what he can become in the next few years with this young receiving core, is something very scary for the rest of the NFC and the NFL if they start challenging for championships and Super Bowls. But they have a really bright future. Joe Barry, I think, saved his job as a defensive coordinator these last 2 games. That defense played out of their mind. I think they need to get another corner, another pass rusher, and another linebacker. And you're like, oh, that's everybody on. Well, maybe another safety. They just need more guys on the defensive side of the ball. They have a lot of first-round picks, but they need guys to either start hitting leaps or keep flowing talent in there until one sticks. To be one of those, kind of like Jair, which is a lockdown corner, that dude. You know what I'm saying? Preston Smith is really good. Devontae Wyatt can be really good. He just has to, work up to be that. So I have no doubt Lucas Van Ness, I have no doubt that they can do it, but I feel like they should add more talent to that defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball is great. Even with Bo Melton, you got Jaden Reed, you got Romeo Dobbs, you got Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. Maybe you want to add a speedster off the backfield. Aaron Jones is getting a little bit older. Maybe you want to get, somebody like a Bucky Irving from Oregon, maybe in the 3rd round, 4th round of this upcoming draft, just to add that element of like a Jerick McKinnon type out of the backfield. But other than that, this team is going to be a problem in that NFC North for sure for many, many years to come. But shout out to the San Francisco 49ers pulling it out how they were supposed to. They woke up at the right time, the latest possible time, but they woke up at the right time. Brock Purdy let them down, and they rolled the back of CMC to the win. Next game, Buccaneers-Lions. 31-23. This Lions team, guys. This Lions team is very dangerous, okay? Very, very, very dangerous. And the reason I say that is not because of the defensive side of the ball, although the defense plays well. Okay, they're not world beaters. They can't just lock down anybody. They gave up some big plays to Mike Evans in this game and everything. But, overall, this defense plays with heart. Aiden Hutchinson is a dude. He is a dude, and they play together. Their rookie class is who they're running this playoff run through the rookie class and Jared Goff. This is running through the Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson from last year, Laporta, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. All headed by Jared Goff. That's who's running this. Through MCDC's grit mentality. Okay? But they're playing really well. They're playing really, really well. This game, what it taught me was, it was a very defensive game in the first half. But then it became a shootout in the third quarter. It became score, until the defense, one of the defenses, bottled the other team up. There was 3 straight TD drives by Goff in the second half. Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs took over. When it came to third downs, Jahmyr Gibbs with that beautiful run, gets through the line, looks at the safety, and immediately just cuts and outruns him. That's why you draft him 12th overall, for you guys that were saying, oh, it's too high to draft a running back. Oh, now when he's that talented, that guy's taking you to the NFC Championship as a rookie. Okay? That's why you draft a guy like that from Alabama, of course. Baker and the Bucs had too many negative plays in the first half. Too many 3rd and longs, drops, just mistakes. And then, they had a chance to go tie it when they were down 8. But then, Derek Barnes gets his first interception ever in his 3-year career with 1 minute and 30 seconds left to shut it down. We can talk about the one timeout. Should have they taken it. Todd Bowles said that it was already over. Listen, if I'm Todd Bowles, I give myself the chance, call the timeout. If they miss it, you get it right there with the chance to take it down and, tie the game. But, if he felt like it was over, then that's on him. If we look at the box score, Baker Mayfield, 26 for 41, 349. So he threw the ball all over the place. But he went 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's tough. Throwing 2 picks in a playoff game is tough. Rachaad White went 9 for 55, so they couldn't run the ball. They ran the ball for 89 yards, so the Lions stifled the run, which is what, the key was. in this game to make Baker really win it. Mike Evans went off. He went 8 for 147 and a touchdown. K. Dotton went 5 for 65. Chris Godwin went 4 for 40. Rachaad White went 4 for 36. Trey Palmer went 2 for 32. So they threw the ball around, but they could not score. They could not put it in the end zone in the first half. It was a lot of field goals. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of field goals, and then the second half, it got quick. It was quick. It was bing, 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 touchdown, 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 and then it stopped. Again, it stopped after the Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown. For Tampa, I think their biggest thing is Mike Evans. You got to re-sign Mike Evans. You got to keep him and Chris Godwin together. I think you got to get better at the offensive line just a little bit. Tristan Wirfs is great, and Hainsey is good and everything, but I think you should get a little bit better on the offensive line. And then you need legit pass rushers. Shaq is getting old. John Tryon-Shoyinka needs help on the other side. So I think you should go after a legit pass rusher either in the draft or in free agency. And maybe get another weapon. K. Dotton seems like he could be your tight end one. But if you have a shot in the draft at a Jatavion Sanders from Texas, I think you shoot it. I think you shoot that shot right there. That's a legit playmaker at the tight end position. A great athlete. Other than that, they did what they could, man. They did what they could. Tampa had, a year that people didn't expect. Baker, I believe, will get an extension. Maybe the Geno Smith contract. We'll have to see. But Tampa, Todd Bowles did a great job. Dave Canales, as the OC, did a good job in taking this team to the divisional round. There's going to be a lot of questions. This team is kind of a little bit getting older. But at the same time, there's a possibility that they could be good moving forward with Baker. Baker's only in his 6th year, going into his 7th. He's still in his 20s. He's not old. He might seem old, but he's not. I think that they should get better at the running game and maybe add another weapon in the running game and a third receiver that is legit. Either get a legit, a great athletic tight end with speed like Jatavion Sanders, or add another great receiver in the draft where there's tons, or, in free agency. Now, a team like this, if they have the cap space, which I don't think they do, but to get a T. Higgins or something like that, then we're talking about real weapon. But, overall, they overachieved this year. They won their division 2 years in a row. The Tom Brady era is done, and they're not in the tank. So I think that overall it was good. For the Lions, Jared Goff, 30 for 43, 287, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 carries, 8.2 yards a carry, 74 yards, a touchdown, the long of 31, which was the touchdown. David Montgomery went 10 for 33. They only ran the ball for 114 yards, but they were important. 114 yards. Important. Craig Reynolds had a touchdown, which was weird. They removed Gibbs off the field. They moved David Montgomery off the field. And Craig Reynolds got the touchdown, the 1 yard. Amon-Ra went 8 for 77 and a touchdown. Laporta went 9 for 65. You're talking about it. 2 guys went for 25 targets. That's what you're supposed to do when you have those type of players. You gave 4 targets to Jahmyr. He went 4 for 40. You got Josh Reynolds a touchdown, 2 for 27. Jamison Williams caught 2 balls. Brock Wright caught a ball. So they're playing well, man. They're playing well. Aiden Hutchinson's playing out of his mind. He got a sack. Millie Ofongwu got a sack and a half. Brian Branch got a sack. They were really blitzing off the edge with the corner. They were using that cat blitz where you blitzed your nickel. And it was working, man. They were not picking it up for some reason. Like, they weren't leaving a back or anything. Like, Brian Branch, Melo Fongwu, they all ate on that. But the thing about the Lions, man, they seem like a team of destiny. They seem like they're on this trajectory. And it would be a great story if they get all the way to the end and they raise the Lombardi for MCDC for that city after years and years and years of heartbreak. We're talking about decades at this point, from the time of Barry Sanders and stuff like that. They haven't been to a championship game, an NFC championship game, since before the merger in 1960. I think it was 55 when they were in the championship, and the last time they won a championship. And I believe that was in the AFL or the original NFL, which was before the merger. But overall, this team is playing hot. This offense is playing well. They're going to Santa Clara. It's going to be sunny, according to the forecast, so there's not going to be problems with weather. And it's going to come down to Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy. It's going to come down to that Detroit offense. Can they run? And can they run their offense as efficiently as they have the all postseason and all season against that vaunted defense of the 49ers that has shown a little bit of cracks in the armor, but overall, it's still Fred Warner, it's still Eric Armstead, it's still Nick Bosa, it's still Chase Young, Charvarius Ward, Lenore, like it's still those guys, so we'll see, but shout out to Detroit, man. A great story. Keep it going to the NFC Championship game. Absolutely incredible for MCDC. And that organization. Next game, the last one, of course, the one that we were all waiting for, the one that I picked with tremor and fear, and I was thinking like this when I was picking the game because, Mahomes was at home and that whole narrative and everything, but guess what? Mahomes pulled it off with a little bit of help from the football gods, I believe, 27-24, and it came down to a game-time field goal that the Bills missed. And if I talk about this game, bro, this game was so nerve-wracking. So nerve-wracking. It was an absolute classic shootout. It turned into a defensive stalemate at the end. The run game for KC was key in spots with Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting some big runs. The missed field goal to tie it by the Bills was kind of like, that was it. That was the end right there, was that field goal. 41-yarder. People say that the wind wasn't blowing. My own friends say, oh, the flags weren't waving. And I always go back to what Pat McAfee said about kicking, is that it's not what the flags are doing at the goalpost. It's what the wind's doing from where the ball is to the goalpost, the crosswinds and everything that you don't see. That's what you got to worry about. And it was windy all game. It was cold. Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes were incredible, but 15 just shows Mr. Pat Mahomes. He just shows that he's the next GOAT. That he is the guy that is following in the footsteps of Tom Brady, trying to chase number 12. And then how they've won their Super Bowls every single time has been on the defense. The defense getting the key stop. And this defense got key stops at key times to stop the Bills from taking the lead, from getting close, from extending to 10 points. Like, this game was so back and forth. It was incredible. It was an incredible watch, an absolute classic. So let's look at the box score, right? Let's start with the Chiefs. Mahomes went 17 for 23 for 215. So we're not talking about crazy, but his rating was 131.6. So he had a great game. 2 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. Neither of these quarterbacks got sacked. The offensive lines were absolutely incredible this game. Pacheco went 15 for 97 and a touchdown, a long of 29. Absolutely crucial for Pacheco to have a game like this. Shout out to my boy from Puerto Rico, baby. Isaiah. Yes, sir. Boricua. That's what I like to see. But absolutely crucial. On first down, getting 6, 7, 8 yards a carry. He was averaging 6.5 yards a carry all night. The touchdown where his knee almost went down, but he powered through. This game was so action-packed. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 2 for 31, a long of 28, which was important. Mahomes had an important run. He had 6 runs for 19 yards. And then McCole Hardman had 1 carry for -1 yard and could have changed the entirety of this game and could have knocked them out the playoffs because this man on 1st and goal, okay, Pacheco has to go out the game. And instead of making Kelsey run the play, of getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire to run the play, I don't know if Jerick McKinnon was available, but maybe to him run the play, or maybe even Rashee Rice to run the play. No, you get McCole Hardman, who's barely played this year, to run the play, a jet sweep toss pass, and he tries to extend the ball, and Jordan Poyer knocks it out before he's down, and it turns into a touchback and gives the ball back to the Bills when you're up 3 with less than, at that point, I think it was less than 7 minutes left, 6 minutes left. That, you cannot do that. It's first down. Go down, next play. Okay? I think everybody in the state, everybody in Chiefs Kingdom was like this when they saw that. They were like, for real? You're going to extend the ball on a first down? It's okay to go down. And we're talking about like an inch off the ground when you look at the replay and the ball's coming out. An inch off the ground. I was really nervous. Really, really, really nervous at that point. But then Josh Allen drives down and he misses. He goes for Khalil Shakir. So this is what they're saying about Josh Allen. He doesn't make the plays that are there. And when he makes the Superman play or the Superman throw, sometimes he should just take what's there and what the defense is giving him. The last 2 plays of the game when Josh Allen was throwing the ball, you could have thrown it to Diggs on the crossing route. He was wide open, 4 yards over the line of scrimmage. And he was running. It looked like he had a lot of room to run. He went for Khalil Shakir in the back of the end zone, missed it. Or on the 3rd and 9 play, he rolled out and threw the ball away. When he had Kincaid on a crosser, where all he had to do was look to his left a little bit, maybe stop, and just deliver the ball to him, and then give him some room to run to make it an easier 4th down. Or an easier field goal. That doesn't happen. Here comes the field goal unit. And wide right again for Buffalo. Everybody remembers that from the 90s and the Jim Kelly years. Wide right. Everybody goes nuts. Mahomes is jumping up and down. And they escape. It was an escape. It was a great game. Mahomes played great. Josh Allen played great. They couldn't stop him on the ground. If we keep going through the box score, Travis Kelce went 5 for 75 and 2 touchdowns. One was wide open. The second one was wide open. The first one was wide open. The second one he ran. It was like a screenplay, and he ran to the corner and he got there. Valdez-Scantling had 2 giant catches for 62 yards and a long of 32. Rashee Rice went 4 for 47. Big catches. Isaiah Pacheco 1 for 14. But their defense played their asses off. No sacks, but they played their asses off. They tackled well. They couldn't stop James Cook and Josh Allen for their lives, though. The running game was really good. This offensive line was pushing them back most of the game. Josh Allen went 26 for 39, 186. And a touchdown, no picks. He also ran for 72 yards on 12 carries with 2 touchdowns. James Cook went 18 for 61. Ty Johnson went 7 for 40. They ran for 182 yards and over 100 in the first half. It was hard to stop them. It was hard to stop them running the ball, but they did it at the end. The fake punt was so incredibly dumb, I believe, to DeMar Hamlin. And that's what led to the McCole Hardman touchback. Because if they could have scored there, it would have been a 10-point game. And then we're talking about maybe this being a little bit more lopsided than it was. Dalton Kincaid went 5 for 45, leading them. Khalil Shakir went 7 for 44 and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 3 for 21. I have friends that are saying Stephon Diggs is going to leave the Bills. I think that he goes back, looks at this film, and it wasn't Josh's fault. So I don't think that he should leave, because the best quarterback that he can go to besides Josh Allen, I mean, you're not going to go to Joe Burrow. He has T. Higgins unless he leaves and you want to go over there and you're going to be behind Jamar Chase. Or you go to Kansas City with Pat Mahomes. There's no other quarterback that is better. So I think you stay put. You develop what you got there with Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. You come back next year stronger and you run at it again. But 3 for 21, something's happening there, man. Something's happening there in big moments, big games that he's just not showing up. I don't know if he's getting covered. I don't know if it's that, the coverage is all on him. But, there was a 65-yard bomb that Josh Allen put on a rope, dropped. It could have been it was catchable. That was one of the plays of the game. Dalton Kincaid dropped the first down. You had, I believe, Khalil Shakir or Trent Sherfield on another big bomb. He could have caught that. So it wasn't on Josh Allen this time. Josh Allen played his absolute balls off besides those two plays. And you are going against Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. You're going against a team that will not give up and is known to pull out games from their ass, because that's how Tom Brady did it a lot of times in his career. So, tip of the cap to the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what they 0-4 against Mahomes. 0-4. 0-3 at Arrowhead. 0-1 at home in the cold. You had them where you wanted them. Could have tied it, missed a field goal. But that's not what this game came down to. This game came down to that Chiefs defense stifling up at the right time. A couple of decisions of the fake punt when you could have just punted. Your defense was playing pretty well. You fake punted, but you got the ball back. But then you couldn't do anything with it because you missed that bomb to Diggs. You didn't take advantage of the fact that you were running the ball really, really well. And Spags pulled it out. And KC looks like it's KC now. After all year, they had not looked like it's KC. So, shout out to Pat Mahomes for making me 4-0. Sweated it out. But we made it through. For Josh Allen, you need a legit pass rusher. I'm talking about a legit pass rusher. Okay, a guy who can get you 10 to 12 to 13 to 15 sacks. You need a guy like that on that defense. You need a number one corner. A number one corner. Your safeties are good. Milano, when he comes back, you guys were so hurt this year. Milano went down for the whole year. So did Tre'Davious again. So you will get healthier. But you definitely need to figure out the number 2 role at a wide receiver. Khalil Shakir could be that. He could develop into that. I don't know what you're going to do with Gabe Davis. He's a free agent. But you need to figure that out, because if you don't have an outlet, it's either going to be Dalton Kincaid or Stephon Diggs. It's going to be tough. You need a third guy. Okay, and I'm saying the same thing to Kansas City, even though they moved on. They didn't use Rashee Rice as much as I thought they would this game because Isaiah Pacheco was running the ball really, really well. So I respect Andy Reid for just keeping what was going good, keep going. The offensive line played absolutely incredibly. There's a reason that they have 2 All-Pros on that offensive line. Joe Thuney strained his pec, so it's looking like he's not out for the season. He might be out for this upcoming game against the Ravens, which is a big, big loss, but we'll see as the week moves on. But shout out to KC and Pat Mahomes, man. Just keep rewriting the history books. Most wins in the playoffs, 13, but before the age of 30. Absolutely incredible. Shout out to Buffalo for putting up a fight. This was not on Josh Allen. Maybe you can say those 2 plays, but other than that, it was a great game, a classic that will go down forever as another, legendary game. And good job, KC. Good job, Chiefs. And that was it. That was divisional weekend. We went 4-0. Hopefully we go 2-0, and hopefully we go 1-0. That's what we're hoping for. We did it last year. We'll talk about that on Thursday. We'll predict the championship games on Thursday. We'll keep monitoring the head coaching searches. And we'll keep an eye on the NBA on what's happening and what the trends are showing heading into All-Star weekend and into the postseason and the second half of the season. Another thing I wanted to look at before I go, I said that I was going to do this a couple weeks ago, and I haven't been able to get to it, is the All-Pro teams. Okay? So let's go through them real quick. On defense, All-Pros are Myles Garrett at the edge, of course. TJ Watt, of course. Aaron Donald. I mean, in the sacks it doesn't show it, but when you look at everything else metric-wise as a D tackle, he's still dominating. And Stone Cold Chris Jones. Fred Warner at linebacker, of course. Roquan Smith, of course. Look at who's up here. Chris Jones still in the playoffs. Fred Warner still in the playoffs. Roquan Smith still in the playoffs. Then you get Quincy Williams at the linebacker. He played really well. Deron Bland broke the record for pick sixes at 6 this year for the Cowboys. Sauce Gardner had another great season, back-to-back all-pro seasons. Trent McDuffie for the KC, he's still in the playoffs playing absolutely amazing. Kyle Hamilton, breakout season in his second season out of Notre Dame for the Baltimore Ravens. He's still in the playoffs. Antoine Winfield Jr. played great at safety this year for the Tampa Bay and took him to the divisional round. He played absolutely amazing. So that's your defense. Overall, I think they got it pretty good. You can argue Nick Bosa. You can argue, maybe some other people, but defensively, I think they got it for sure on the first team. Special teams, just go through it. Brandon Aubrey didn't miss all year. AJ Cole is arguably the best punter in the league for the Raiders. Rashid Shaheed was a great punt returner for New Orleans this year. Keyshawn Nixon, he took him to the divisional round and had a great return in the divisional round. He's been good for the last 3 years. Killebrew at a personal protector, I believe. And then long snapper Ross Masicic. The only guy that's still in the playoffs here is Ross. He's the long snapper for the Lions. Actually, no, he's for the Jaguars. Nobody's in the playoffs. And offense, which is what we're here for. Lamar, QB1. Christian McCaffrey, running back. Kyle Juszczyk, fullback, of course. George Kittle, tight end. Between Travis Kelce and George Kittle had a better season. He had 1,000 yards. Travis didn't. So I understand the George Kittle. Tyreek at wide receiver. CD at wide receiver. Amon-Ra at wide receiver. I think that's pretty good. I think that's solid for the first team. They were all absolute beasts this year. Trent Williams, left tackle, of course. Joe Thuney, we just talked about him. He's at left guard. Jason Kelsey, possibly his swan song season at center, another All-Pro first team. Zach Martin, another legend for the Dallas Cowboys, another All-Pro for him. And Penei Sewell for the Lions, another All-Pro for him. He's the one that started this whole Lions rebuild and everything. So All-Pro teams seem like they got them right. I don't see any real hesitation for anybody. They look really, really good, especially on the first team. They look absolutely spot on when you look at what these people have done. In the wide receiver room, you could say Puka, maybe, but when you look at Tyreek, CD, and Amon-Ra, what they've done for their teams and the amount of load that they have for their teams, I don't think it's much of a discussion. Puka's certainly up there. AJ kind of dropped off a little bit at the end of the season. He was certainly like in that trajectory, but other than that, I don't think that anybody was better than Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, you either take Travis Kelce or George Kittle. It doesn't matter to me. I think George Kittle had a better season because he had 1,000. And Travis got kind of stymied a little bit this season. It wasn't himself. He was kind of hurt. And Lamar at QB, I think that was the best. You could have put Brock Purdy there if you wanted to, Josh Allen, Mahomes, but I think Lamar just did everything for his team this year. That's why he's going to the AFC Championship game. So, yeah, it was a wonderful season, guys. A lot of good players, a lot of injuries as well. We have a lot to look forward to next season, but we still have 3 games left. The 3 most important games of the season. NFC Championship game, we got the Lions at Santa Clara facing the San Francisco 49ers. And then we have the Kansas City Chiefs going to Baltimore, Maryland at M&T Bank Stadium to face Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be exciting. And then we got the Super Bowl, baby, in Las Vegas. It's going to be very, very exciting. I appreciate all the support like always. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best. This will come out tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm Mel Velez. This is a Boricua del Parcero podcast, and I leave you with the outro.